Hello, my name is D. My full name is Dion, but everyone just calls me D. And I'm a cartoonist. Before I get started with that, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I got my artistic inspirations when I was growing up in Elwood, Indiana, back in the early 2000s. And let me just tell you, Elwood was not a good place for me. Me and my family were the only black family in the entire town, and as many people know about the history of Elwood, it is a racial dominant place. We've dealt with almost everything you could imagine, from the KKK, from racial slurs, to just prejudice in the school. I was the only black kid in the entire school. And it kind of turned me into someone that's kind of an introvert that really just doesn't want to talk with people. But what I've learned from that is that I love to create. I love to express myself in a way that not too many people really have understood. When I was in third grade, I did comics. I loved Garfield. I loved reading. I loved just things that just made me feel creative, you know? And so with doing that, I started making my own comics. One day, I made a comic that made a friend laugh so hard, he fell out of his chair laughing, tears down his face. But the only downside about that was he had asthma, so I almost killed him laughing. But at that time, what really struck a nerve with me was I finally did something that made someone happy. And I knew that I wanted to start creating stuff that made people happy. That's my overall goal with my life, is that I want to do stuff that inspires people and just makes them happy to feel good, that makes them feel good about themselves. So throughout my years, I started developing myself, started getting more original and creative with the type of comics I started doing. I finally got my first big gig doing newspaper comics with the Herald Bulletin for roughly 3 years. And that was one of the best learning experiences because our own Indiana person, Jim Davis, has helped inspire me and was the one that helped put me forward to getting into the newspaper. And so for roughly 3 years, I started developing that comic, started doing stuff that made me happy. But towards the end of it, I started having people tell me what to do with it instead of doing what I felt. So I ended it. And I wanted to create something that made me feel like I can do whatever I want to do without having to rely on the input of other people, without having to deal with people telling me how I need to create my stuff when I know what I want to create. So with this being said, I finally developed a comic series called Pen and Ink. And the concept of Pen and Ink is that these two sisters, Penny and Inkara Ewart, but they go by their nicknames, Pen and Ink, they create autobiography comics about their lives. So the comics that you see in front of you are actually made by the characters. It's about them. It's about their stories. It's about what they do with themselves. And all they want to do with themselves is just inspire and make people happy. I want to be able to use these characters to be able to show people that you can be inspirational, that you can be something big, and be able to just show the world that you can just be you.
Thank you.